Hi everyone. When was the last time you hired somebody through a normal job description, go through a structured interview, you see everything in the CV was right, you do a couple of face-to-face interview, perhaps maybe even with your functional team people, and finally you onboard the person. 6-8 months later, you realize that some problem seems to emerge. I'm sure you and I may have experienced such things before. So what has gone wrong? And now you are back into the hiring again. Today I'd like to share with you, not from a HR expert point of view, but from a practitioner point of view. So in this couple of 10 to 15 minutes, I'd just like to share with you on how we have transformed from a job description hiring technique to one that of a success profile hiring. Hi, my name is Felix Lian, Regional Managing Director of Klingspor, Singapore. I'm really honored and glad to be here today just to share with you from a practitioner point of view. Klingspor is actually a German company that lasted since 126 years ago. We manufacture high-quality abrasive that is used in industrial manufacturing, construction, and metal fabrication or wood furniture fabrication. We are a mid-sized company, about 3,000 employees, but we have 40 subsidiaries all over. In Asia, our regional headquarters is in Singapore. And since 2009, we have changed our business model and we wanted to expand our business, and then we go on to make a series of expansion and hiring of more and more people onto our team. If you look at the slide, this is a typical job description. We will detail what we will need in a person's experience, capability, and knowledge. We wanted to add one more dimension, which is the personnel attributes. So with this, we're trying to find out a little bit more of the DNA of the candidate that is of matching to our DNA of the organization. So today, we really like to touch on 3 topics. First, being knowing the attributes of the candidates. What do you mean by knowing the attributes? What we really want to know is to find out the DNA of this person. And is it matching to uniquely your organization DNA? And number 2, we will talk about the concern of such profile hiring. What can possible problem emerge from such a way of hiring? And number 3, we'll talk about how can you transform your current job description hiring to one that of success profiling. Why are we even doing this? Actually, we are all not hiring all the time. For myself, we hope that I don't have to hire all the time. That means we are not very well trained in hiring as well. So let's just face it, we don't do this on a day-to-day basis. So how can we be competent on it? But there are ways, there are help. And we want to do it right for the first time. And that's exactly why we are having this session today. First of all, we have to recognize that past performance is no guarantee of future result. Just like stocks, what has been performing very well may not continue to perform in future. A candidate who have done well in the past may not necessarily do the same in your organization. So we have to recognize that. Number 2, knowing me and knowing you. We need to map the strength of this person vis-a-vis the strength and weakness of your organization. Not only the organization's strength and weakness, but also its culture. And last but not least, the above the line and below the line. What do I mean by that? What you can really see very obvious is a person's work experience. You can almost detail, in his resume, how many years he has worked in this function and how many years he has worked in another function. And the knowledge that he has, whether he has a degree in this, a professional certification in that, and the capabilities. But what is really hidden below the line is the personnel traits. Is he able to work under pressure? Is he able to communicate well with people within your organization? What is your organization culture that may be in conflict with his personal views or values? So in this instance, we also want to find out what is underneath, what is the DNA deep inside the person. How do we do it in Klingspor, Singapore? We look among all our sales people and we find out who are the top sales performers across the region. We get the top sales performer to come to our Singapore office and we try to find out from them what traits make them successful. Make sure that it's not in a way of assessment, but as also in a form of a motivator to recognize them being a top performer, and we want to replicate these traits among the rest of the people. Put them through a profiling exercise by a third-party qualified person. Let's face it, we don't have such knowledge. It's a special skill that we need to put forth in order for us to draw out the personnel trait. So do invest in a good qualified person to be able to do this correctly. In a non-threatening environment, we extract some commonalities and classify under our Klingspor desired trait. What are the traits that make them excel under our Klingspor operating environment? Be it our competitive landscape, our people that work with them, and also even our product and our system. We have interviewed the top sales performer among the 3 different regions. One from Singapore, and one from Thailand, and one from Vietnam. Why do we need to do this? We want to make sure that we get enough data across the region to find out what are these common traits among Klingspor that will make them a successful salesperson under the setting of our company objective and our company's strength and weakness, our culture, and even the competitive landscape. With these 4 different settings, why our people, or these 3 people, are able to rise above the rest and become a top performer. We really want to find out what are these desired traits that make them successful. Klingspor, we have a new business model since 2009 in the Southeast Asia region. We are a fast-growing organization within a very fast-changing environment as well. And we are selling a high-quality and high-value product. And what kind of ideal candidate fit into this environment and this operating culture? We found out that, number 1, the salesperson need to be open to new ideas and take risks, and able to initiate actions as well. They must be on the self-driven mode and need not have to take instruction from their superior all the time. They do a lot of self-reflection as well. Interestingly, we realized that a good salesperson need not have to be an extrovert. In fact, to a certain extent, they need to do some self-reflection and how to improve things within their own aspect. They need to have a growth mindset. Because we are a growing organization, we want to expand our business. So the person cannot be contented with just of what they are doing. They need to be able to move beyond their own boundaries as well. So the growth mindset is important to us. And we also found in this assessment, this person needs to have a high life purpose. It transcends beyond themselves. There must be a certain level of empathy beyond their own sales objective. They need to understand in a big frame of things how his work can benefit mankind maybe, or even to help other people. Last but not least, he or she needs to be a strong role model as well. Surprisingly, we found that a person who is in being the first born in the family usually exhibit some strong characteristic of leadership. So strong role model is also one of our desired traits within our Klingspor operating environment for successful salespeople. So now as a recap, what we are looking for is above the line is really the work experience. You still need to have the relevant work experience that's related to your industry. Of course, you need to have the knowledge and the capability to be able to do the job. And that is really defined by the job description. For the personal attributes, we are looking for what sort of traits and profile that will excel within our own organization. That is uniquely to your own organization. So you really cannot just cut and paste, taking what is relevant to Klingspor and you start to apply into another organization. All in all, with this, you'll be able to find a job fit right at the beginning and knowing with the eyes open for the person that is coming into the organization and also for the stakeholder that are working around him. What are the concerns and issues on profile hiring? Are we worried that we may be forming a group thinking situation and everybody start to think alike? When you employ people of the same profile, they all belong to the same herd. We may be concerned that there may be lack of alternative or views and approach. Lack of diversity. You need to have both hunters and farmers. You cannot have everybody thinking to be a hunter. You need to have people also to support the business. So you need to also balance between what are the personality that you need as for the farmer and what are the personality you need for a hunter. Do we start with above the line or do we start with below the line? Should we start with the personnel attributes as a first card or should we use the job description as first card? So these are also the issues that we are facing and there's no right or wrong answer. You just need to adapt as you move along. Lastly, how to transform into a profile hiring. Internal parties can give you a very good insight on what kind of work experience, knowledge and capability. Through interviews, business case, role play or even an assessment, you will be able to find out the above the line qualified third party to do the success profiling. For example, using online assessment or through interview. You may also need to do a 360 profiling for the key stakeholder. Earlier on, we talked about knowing me and knowing you. Who are the people who are working with this new candidate coming in? How are their profile? How are their characteristics complementary or in conflict with this new hire? So you want to really form a team that works together. So it's not just profiling the person that's coming in, but also the profile of the people in the organization that this person will be working with. We would like to even have a balanced scorecard. So in order to make a successful profile hiring, you cannot depend everything only on profile, nor the skill or capability or experience. You need to really balance out what is really more important in that job function. with all this in mind, we just really want to know and manage what can be a possible conflict ahead. So like I mentioned again, coming in with your eyes open, knowing that this person may have a problem in this situation, and you try to nip the problem before it becomes one. This is what we are really trying to achieve. So before we move on to our last conclusion slide, I'd like to share with all of us a real case example that happened in our organization. Some years ago, we are required to hire a manager. So likewise, we did our job description. We penned down what is required in terms of skill, capability, and experience. And also, we wanted to do a success profiling. So when we send out our requirement to recruitment companies and also to job portals, we get tons of applications. We vet through according to our requirements, and then we shortlisted a couple of guys for interview. Similarly, I started off with above the line. That is to say, the hiring manager go through the interview first. And when it passed my first round, and I will send it to the organization psychologist to do the personnel assessment. So everything went well. This candidate did very well in our first round, which meets all my skill requirement and the capability and experience. A little bit because I see a lot of me in him. But during the personnel assessment, we realized that he has some issues on conflict management. Also could have some issue being assertive in area when he is required to. But however, we decided to take the risk and put him on board and hope that we can manage this. And indeed, 6 and 8 months when he was on the job, we found that he began to break down and even have some issues, be able to make decisions decisively. And whenever there is a conflict, he will choose to not take any stand. And this is a problem in his position where we require him to do so. And eventually, he will not be able to perform to his performance KPI, and he chose to resign. So in this really real story, we realize that even though you may have a success profiling element introduced into your hiring process, you really have to take faith into it. Which means, if you believe in this process, you have to act upon it. If this is a real problem with the personality traits, and this is important in this job, do not ignore it. Otherwise, you'll be a problem yourself and also for that person. So lastly, I just like to say again, this is a dynamic process and need constant adaptation to not only to the environment, but to also to stakeholders. People changed. So as we move along, we have to make sure that we move together in tandem. And it helps to use a third-party qualified person to do a non-biased and objective views. A trained qualified organization psychologist will help you identify the personal trait below the line, which means sometimes it's not easy to see that during a short 1 or 2 hours interview. Hire fast versus hire right. Do we want to fill the position as quickly as we want? Or we want to find the right person even though it takes us months? I guess the answer is in your head right now. You do not want to repeat the process over and over again. So in conclusion, I'm really happy just to share with you what Klingspor has gone through in the past 3 to 4 years, how we have transformed ourselves from a job description hiring to one that offers success profile hiring. Thank you very much for your time in watching this video. I hope you have enjoyed it as much as I had. Please leave us any comments or any questions that you may have. Thank you very much.
Trust you've enjoyed the presentation. Do check out the handouts and flyers here, download them, and don't forget to join the discussion by leaving us your comments and your questions, and our speakers will be getting back to you with the answers.